combine starts next week. The Niners don't have a defensive coordinator yet. But it seems like they could make an announcement maybe at 5 o'clock on Friday. Nothing says I'm proud of what I'm saying and reporting than a 5 o'clock news dump. But hey, they haven't done it yet on Friday. Let's see what happens. If there's an internal hire, someone that people really haven't heard of, like Nick Sorensen or Daniel Bullocks, would that be a disappointment?
I think that it would be, just from the simple fact that these guys were here last year. And so it's like, well, these guys were in place. Why didn't you just hire them in the first place? It never seemed like you really believed in Wilkes.
Or them.
But
enough to hire them
or them.
Or
Yeah. Because I'm
now
sure that
Nick
like
Sorensen's good enough. Now Daniel Bullock's good enough. Good to know.
Yes. Yeah. Because here's the thing is that we heard about the Wilkes interview. We heard about Fangio being interviewed. But did these guys interview last year, or were they truly not interested? If they weren't interested, then, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But what I will say is I think it's the right move, regardless of how disappointing it is. As soon as news dropped that Wilkes was fired, I said there's an obvious choice. He's in-house, and it's Daniel Bullocks. That's the obvious choice. He's somebody that can carry the torch. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm going to say just real quick. The reason Steve Wilkes got hired is because the Niners felt that Bullocks wasn't ready or something last year. Otherwise, they wouldn't have went to Wilkes. So now they're like, you know what? Psych. He is ready. Extra
what if
ready.
Bullocks thought he wasn't ready? Oh. And now he is ready.
What if he's ready because he learned under Wilkes?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Inception.
Yeah. No, I think it would be kind of a disappointment. And that's, to me, like, hey, if they announce this at 5 o'clock on a Friday, that's a tip off that they're not super juiced about this. They're like, hey, just, as you're on the way out to ski this weekend, we got a defensive coordinator, you never heard of him. He's going to be great. As opposed to, Monday at 10 a.m., Adam Schefter reports that the 49ers have hired Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll working side by side like a Power Ranger Megazord, where they come together and they fight the bad guy. That's what it's going to be like. But that will be a Monday. If it's Nick Sorensen, that's the Friday 5 o'clock type of deal. So we'll see.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's the pass game coordinator. You brought in Belichick. He's the run game defensive coordinator. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you don't want to put too much on his plate because he hasn't proven that much.
That's true.
It's simple for him.
It is funny that you say the 5 o'clock news dump on Friday, though, because I was talking to Coach today, and that's literally what I told him. I was like, yeah, it'll probably happen before Saturday. And I go, 5 o'clock news dump Friday. That's exactly what they're going to do. It does seem that way.
It just occurred to me I'm going to be working a lot this weekend, huh? They're going to name their coach, 5 o'clock on a Friday. All right, I'll clear that out of my schedule.
You're going to need to. But, okay, so...
why are they doing this? Why are they doing this?
Because it's a disappointment, it doesn't mean it's not the right hire. And I want to make sure there's a clear distinction, because I really believe that Bullocks was the guy all along and that he is the right hire. Maybe it's not him. Maybe I'm completely wrong and they go with somebody outside the building, but that's just the feeling that I got from the beginning. We'll see if it's right.
Yeah, I get the feeling too. They could also go with the pass game coordinator, but it seems like what you want here, not necessarily, you're not looking for a schematic genius. Not to say that D'Amico wasn't or Saleh wasn't. Those guys are very, very smart. But I think above all else, what they got from their players was incredible effort. And that's one thing that Steve Wilkes couldn't get from his players on a consistent basis. I don't know that it's necessarily his fault, but they fired him. He's gone. And to me, what you have to address is effort. It shouldn't be an issue, but it is. And I guess you got to hire someone that the players want to play for. And Daniel Bullocks has been on this team longer than Bosa, longer than Warner. Got to respect him.
He's been here since the beginning. 2017, He's been here. He played in the NFL, so he has that experience. He's young. I mean, I don't know his personality, but being behind Saleh and D'Amico, you got to imagine that there's some fire there. So yeah, I mean, I think that it is a good hire. It is interesting that Ulbricht's name came up, because that's the other path, right? Is okay, well, let me get somebody that is already under Saleh or already under D'Amico Ryans and go poach them away. I didn't necessarily think their defensive coordinator, and I don't know if that's even possible because the Jets would have to approve it, but it is an interesting thought too. Like, well, that kind of makes sense. Go to your ex defensive coordinators and poach someone from them that you trust. Okay, I can get behind that.
And the way I see it too is like when you're looking at Ulbrich or thinking along those lines, you're going down the scheme fit road. And I don't think this is really about that. I think this is an older team, a veteran team that can kind of coach itself. They need a coach they want. I think they're pretty much picking their coach. That's the way I see. I could be totally off here, but it seems like these guys essentially got Steve Wilkes fired after the Super Bowl. They're like, I don't know, it's not working. They're like, okay. So I think they're probably going to get if they really want Daniel Bullocks and they make it known, why? It's a lot like the Raiders saying we want Antonio Pierce. Now that's a head coach. But why are you going to go against this defense? There's a lot of established players. If they know what they want, you're not going to tell Nick Bosa we're bringing in someone. And you bring in someone from the outside, no matter who he is, and Bosa wants Bullocks, and everyone wants Bullocks or whoever it is. You're just repeating the same mistake you made last year and putting the next dude in the same awful position you put Wilkes in. You learn nothing. So they're in a tough position. Nick Bosa better know what he's doing, essentially. It's up to you, Nick.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, though, too, is I understand that Bullocks has been here, but how often does a Nick Bosa or a Fred Warner cross paths with him? They're in the DB room. He's in the room with the DBs. So the DBs can vouch for him. And I'm sure that, in passing, you say hi, whatever, but you're really not. It's not like he's coaching hands-on with Nick Bosa and technique. And that's not it. It's a small group, but a big area. They don't really cross paths a lot. You're in your own thing, doing your own film and working with your own guys. So
it's a good point. And
going outside the building isn't necessarily, I guess, the worst thing in the world.
True. Cause I mean, they didn't, there was a reason they didn't make Bullocks or whomever from on the staff, the guy last year. There must have been a reason that they did that really awkward thing with Steve Wilkes that everyone kind of knew was a bad idea from the beginning. Something about Bullocks made him hesitate because Saleh had no experience when they hired him. D'Amico had no experience when they made him the defensive coordinator. Like they haven't been shy about making novices first-time D coordinators, but they wouldn't do it with Bullocks. They just decided he wasn't ready. Now he's ready. What changed? Oh, he got to learn under Wilkes. Got it. Okay, well, there you go. That's what's Wilkes' ultimate legacy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we got a super chat.